Hi there, and welcome to Hectic Eclectic. Today we're going to be talking about love at first sight. Do you believe in it or not? So this may seem like a silly discussion topic, but it's very popular in fiction, especially young adult fiction, and as I read a lot of young adult fiction, we're going to talk about it. Okay? Okay. Now, the first thing you must understand is where love at first sight comes from. Well, fiction, of course. We see love at first sight throughout the ages and across cultures. And the most classic and well-known story of love at first sight is Romeo and Juliet. And don't try to tell me it ain't. Romeo sees Juliet at a dance, and upon seeing her, falls madly in love with her, even though 2 seconds ago he was madly in love with Rosalie. Or was it Rosaline? Heck, Romeo doesn't even remember her name. And Juliet, in return, falls madly in love with Romeo, even though the two have literally never spoken a word to each other, and now they're gonna be willing to die for each other because their love is just so amazing and so real, even though they've known each other for 2 days, and they have spoken as much as Cinderella and Prince Charming. Which is another really bad love at first sight story, but we're not gonna talk about that today. It's because of these stories that I wonder at the validity of love at first sight. I mean, what is love? It's an irrational chemical bond we feel towards someone else that causes us to give up our own lives and well-being for the people we love. And it's great, don't get me wrong. Love is wonderful, but it's important to note that there's a difference between love and lust. To me, it would seem love at first sight has more to do with lust than love. How do you fall in love with someone you don't know? How do you fall in love with someone with whom you've never interacted nor even spoken a single word to? They simply love them based on the fact that they're gorgeous. Oh, and they never fall in love with ugly people. Love at first sight never brings up non-drop-dead gorgeous people. Thus, it would seem that there's no such thing as love at first sight. There's most definitely lust at first sight. Young adult fiction is a big proponent of lust at first sight, but they don't see it that way. Young adults' problem is their attempt to emulate love at first sight a la Romeo and Juliet. Problem with that? Well, besides the fact that Romeo and Juliet were both 13 or 14 years old, and they literally both died because they're a couple of teenage idiots, none of these young adult relationships are real. When young adult authors start a book wanting two characters to fall in love with each other, they often force it into their own story. As a result, it feels forced for the reader. Mostly this happens because authors never take the time to develop the relationship, but base it rather on the characters' deep physical attraction for each other. Yay, raging teenage hormones. The two characters, of whatever gender they may be, end up wanting to die for the other simply because they mistook their overflowing hormones as love. Wait, haven't we seen this before? Didn't those two die or something? But these were just my thoughts on love at first sight. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to like and subscribe if you like this video. And come back next week for another discussion on Hectic Eclectic. Bye! Forgot the name of my own channel. These are just my thoughts on love, on something. I have lots of thoughts. They're wonderful, aren't they? Stay here. Why can't you just stay? Oh my god. Mostly this happens because the authors